And welcome back to episode 168 the Weekly Tech Rant with me, Jay.
I mean, Carl.
Well, Carl, we are back after a slightly longer week than anticipated, but we have got with us a full basket of tech stories, haven't we?
We have indeed. Yeah, and apologies. There was a lot of travel and not travel and all sorts going on. It just kind of completely destroyed the schedule.
It did, but not to worry. We are going to cover a lot of stuff this week. So we're going to talk Windows PCs. We're going to talk ChatGPT. We're going to talk Google, Twitter, the FBI seizing some dodgy forums. We've got a gaming update, and of course the Tech Rant Rumour Mill. And it has been MS Build this last week, where there's been some major updates around this new concept of AI PCs. I hope we will cover that in a little bit more detail in a future show. But this week we've got a couple of updates on what that kind of means as an AI PC, and also talk about one of the new things that Microsoft are doing with the AI PCs called Recall, which is probably gonna it has already irked the.
There may potentially be a product recall on Recall.
There may indeed, but let's kick things off then with the first story of the week, which is about MediaTek and Nvidia gearing up to tackle this new. I don't know what to call it, a breed of PC. This new the new concept of PC?
Yeah, well, it's all the new ARM stuff, isn't it? So obviously Apple's been doing it for a while now with the M1, 2, 3, and now 4. And then we had did we say last week or last time we spoke about Qualcomm's Snapdragon X
We
Elite
did, yeah.
for Windows laptops. Well, it seems that MediaTek and Nvidia want a bit of that pie, don't they? So apparently they've been working together a lot on OT and automotive kind of processors, but now they're looking to build one for this new breed of AI PCs. Apparently it's nearly finalised. So the overall design has already been finalised, full completion by the end of this year and release in 2025. But they're saying it'll be using, again, like everyone else, a TSMC N3 processor now, which is...
I tell you, yeah. TSMC just must be the easiest thing in the world to go to. They don't need customers and go knock on the door and say, "Can we work with you?" They have to. The customer knocks on the door and says, "Please, if you've got any capacity, please."
Something, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, Nvidia have done this before, haven't they? They've done the Tegra line, which is what's in the Switch, isn't it, and other bits and pieces. But they're going to build a proper PC one now with MediaTek, probably 18 to 16 cores. It's going to have an NPU, obviously a neural processing unit or the AI chip, which Nvidia are very good at AI stuff. It's also, I expect to have a pretty decent GPU in it, being Nvidia. So I'd be interested to see how this stacks up against Qualcomm and Apple's kit.
Well, I mean, Nvidia. Let's be honest. I don't know if you saw the end of their quarter earnings. Their share price jumped another 10%, which gave them another $250 billion market cap increase.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, they are the king of GPUs and AI, so I'm expecting pretty good stuff actually as an ARM chip from them.
I'd hope so. I really would hope so. MediaTek obviously, have been pushing out chips for some time, but much more on the lower end of the market, haven't they?
Yeah, they're a bit more mid-tier, aren't they?
Mid-tier. But I think you're right. The Nvidia piece here is where we're going, and this AI capability that we'll talk about in just a second when we talk about Recall is really aimed, isn't it, about not necessarily just the standard tasks, but a lot of this neural engine work that you require from AI, a lot of the kind of processing, generationary tasks that, whilst a normal CPU can do, isn't really designed for that kind of logic, is it, and work? And that's where these ARM chips
are just like a GPU, isn't it? It's another specialist chip.
And I guess the NPU is going to probably be the big, massive, I guess, generational leap now in machines. We're going to see, it's not going to be buying a machine and going, well, what spec GPU have I got? But it could be what spec NPU have I got as well, isn't it? I guess it's just going to determine how good that machine is for the task you're looking to do.
I suppose this depends which way the industry steers this. Are they wanting to shift more of it to the cloud so that you can, harvest all your data and sell you stuff? Or like Apple, are they going to move, or even Microsoft in the story we'll talk about later, about where it's trying to do more locally so they're not sharing information to the cloud?
Yeah, this is the question, isn't it? How much do you want to offload to the cloud and how much do you want to keep on the machine? And we talked about this the other week with iOS, didn't we? And potentially how Apple's going to be doing it with the iPhones and their approach, or rumored approach is that majority of the work is going to be handled on device, isn't it?
It's a bit of a hybrid, isn't it? So there's only so much you can do on a device, especially on a low-powered phone kind of device. It just doesn't have the grunt for a lot of the generative AI stuff.
No, and I guess the other thing we're kind of looking at here is, are we seeing a generational shift now in CPU technology on the consumer, machines, aka the desktops, laptops? Because x86 based chips have been the standard for 40 years.
Yep.
And now, are we seeing a push towards ARM? I think we're at an inflection point now where the ARM CPU clearly is powerful enough. You just got to look at Apple to kind of answer that question. But it's whether or not Microsoft and their users or their customers, from a ISV standpoint, are ready to move all of their machines and their devices over to the ARM instruction set, isn't it? And whether you're going to get the same level of, I don't want to say performance, that's not what I mean, but whether you're going to get the same level of software support, which is definitely the key issue, isn't it?
It is, and obviously that's kind of Windows' greatest strength, is the fact that it's just so backward compatible that you could take pretty much guarantee the Windows 3.1 app and get it running on Windows 11 without too much issue. And there's no emulation involved in that. It's just pure compatibility. While shifting over to ARM, it becomes its biggest weakness. You've got to emulate a lot of that until the Windows devs build out ARM native ones. But are they? There's a lot of legacy software there that still needs to run, but the developers aren't necessarily around anymore.
No, and I think the other thing is that if you look at Apple, they did a really good job of building that Rosetta layering, didn't they? And allowing it to emulate, the older software, the x86 software, to the new ARM standard. And obviously that gave them a lot of time to move across and get devs ready and devs happy. Windows is far more complicated than that, isn't it? It's a lot.
Apple have the benefit of doing the hardware and software. If they say we're doing this one, like tomorrow, if they go, you know what, I've had enough of ARM, I'm going back to PowerPC. We're all up with it. A full 360. But that's what we've got. Apple will decide they're going to do that, and you just have to deal with it. Whereas Microsoft don't think really has that luxury, does it?
No, not at all. It's a very different fragmented market. But I think given what we saw at MS Build, and I think we'll come back on that more in the next day, next show, because there was a bit more around the releases there, around the Surface lineup and things like that, and the other manufacturers. But I think we are definitely seeing a shift here to ARM PCs becoming more mainstream.
Definitely.
And not such of a kind of a novelty or the Chromebook-esque device that is just terrible,
Although the jury's still out. I mean, Samsung have got the latest ARM one, but they're basically giving you a 50-inch TV for free along with a laptop. Now, I'm not sure what that's saying.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I mean, do they need to throw in a 50-inch TV along with the latest laptop to get you to buy it? I don't know. Bit of an odd one.
It's a little bit of an odd one. I can't deny that. But talking of AI PCs, then, so one of the things that was announced at the Microsoft Build is the new concept of this Copilot Plus PCs, isn't it? Which Microsoft are launching, and this is the new assistant capability. A part of that is a capability in that called Recall, which effectively allows your machine, in very simple terms, to record everything you do, and therefore you can rewind to a point in time to get information or look at something.
Yeah, it kind of searches. So it's kind of like search on steroids, isn't it? Obviously, we already have search built into Windows. Okay, I question whether it's any good, but you can index files and all that kind of bits and pieces. But yeah, this allows you to kind of index and search history or what you've done on your PC. So, as you said, it takes like screenshots every 5 seconds, doesn't it? And it uses AI to then process those images, OCR the text, figure out what's going on, make the links between what you were doing and what you're searching for, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So there was another application that came out a couple of years ago on Mac called Rewind.ai.
Yes, we did look at that. We did mention it in our discussion about it before, didn't we? Well, I can't remember if it was on the podcast or not, but I know we certainly had a discussion about it.
Yeah, and Rewind is primarily based for Apple, and it does exactly the same thing. And they have a compression ratio of 3,700 rate. So it's their view is that exactly the same thing, that it does that. It basically everything you've said, seen, or heard is their tagline is recorded. Now
Well,
I've
I don't
not
think
seen.
Microsoft's doing the hearing part, are they?
No, but the thing is different with Rewind is it's stored locally, so there's no cloud integration. It doesn't capture private browsing, whereas Recall is leveraging the cloud and
No, it's
therefore
not.
could. Well, it is to a degree, isn't it? I think there is some.
No, from
Well,
what I was reading, and Microsoft made it very clear, this is all processed
uh,
locally.
sorry, my mistake. Yes, it is. Sorry, I misread it. But I think there was some concern of whether or not that there could be there could be data shared with the cloud, not necessarily the user's data, but is it? But what I find really interesting here, though, is that there's already an app out there that does this.
Yeah.
It's been doing it for a long time, doing exactly the same thing. Yet the minute Microsoft launch it, the ICO, the Information Conservation Officer, and other privacy campaigners go into a tailspin
Yeah.
because they're concerned that this is a privacy nightmare, according to them.
Yeah, I'm saying Microsoft have basically said, right, so one, it has to be a Copilot plus machines. But so basically, currently, it's the ARM processor with the NPU, and it needs the NPU because it's all done locally. So all the data is encrypted in real time. It's processed locally using that NPU and doesn't leave your machine. Okay, uh, so short of someone hacking your machine to get the data out, I would argue you've got bigger problems at that point. That they've hacked your
Well,
machine and have
yeah.
access to all your data anyway. So what is this really changing if it is actually all done locally like Microsoft says and things don't change in the past? Microsoft have put a load of controls in there. You can exclude applications or sites or completely turn it off if you don't want to use it.
Well, that's it. I was just going to say you don't. This isn't forced upon you to
No,
run.
and if your
You know,
browser's in private mode, it doesn't take pictures of that.
no.
There's an API because Microsoft released the API. So from a business perspective, you can make sure your business machines, with your corporate data, aren't doing this.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Look, I would say in about 20 years' time, this capability will be standard.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Because
mean,
if you think about it, we are going to get to a world where, with AI assistance, the ability to recall everything you've done or seen or used is going to become part of that platform. And what was that? Not the rabbit thing. There was one before, wasn't it? Do you remember that there was a button you could wear a badge that basically records everything you
it's
would.
a pendant kind of thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
You know the one I'm on about, yeah. Look, I'm not suggesting it's a great thing now, but I tell you, 20, 30 years in the future, this kind of technology will be standard because storage will be, absolutely immense. There'll be much greater compression ratios, and these AI assistants need to be able to serve you properly, to have your own personal AI assistant. Surely, the only way to do that is to know
It
what
needs
you're
to be
doing.
personal. It needs to be
Yeah,
personal. I mean, and actually, we're going to talk about AR glasses later on with a very similar kind of technology built in them. It's not recording, but it's not much of a step to do that. And there's been no outcry about it. And that's from Google, the biggest data harvester on the planet.
I mean, you want these things to work, right? People say, she should not be named. Oh, it's terrible. She doesn't do anything. But people want it to be integrated into their mail. They want it to be integrated into their calendar. Well, surely that's just the first step into actually then we might as well know your browsing history, because
Yeah.
if you
And I
don't
say,
let it, if
one
it
of the
doesn't
things,
work otherwise.
yeah, one of the things they were saying is about seeing what you're browsing. But everyone's got your browser history. Okay, I can't see what's on the page, but they've got the URL you've gone to. It's in your browser history. Copy paste. Aha, that's what he was looking at. It's not really much of a step, is it, to get from one to the other?
No, and your ISP has got all of that.
Yeah, your ISP knows every site you've gone to. They might not know the exact URL or line you were looking at, but again, that's in your browser history. So if someone really wants to find that out, they'll find that out.
Yeah, it is absolutely about the data, and I understand why people are concerned here, but this isn't the
Yeah.
first application to do this. It's just I kind of feel it's because Microsoft announced it. Like if Google had announced it, people just I don't know lose the collective minds and are like they're eating all of our data. They're going to know everything about us. Well, they do already. I really wouldn't worry.
Yep, they're quite happy to give all the personal data and photos to Facebook with
Yeah,
their own free
and
will.
there was a piece on the BBC article. There was a quote from a guy who is the data and privacy expert at Keystone Law, and his quote was saying that the system reminded him of the Netflix program Black Mirror, and he was quoted as saying, "Microsoft will need a lawful basis to record and redisplay the user's personal information." There may be information on the screen which is proprietary or confidential to the user's employer. Will a business be happy for Microsoft recording this? Hang on a minute. We've just said this point. This will be turned off on corporate or enterprise machines.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, there will be a mechanism to turn this off.
There is an API to turn it off.
That's what I'm saying.
There.
You know, it will be there. And every, you know, in the old days, you know, that would have been, you know, through GPOs and all that, and what's it called today? ADMs, isn't it? You know, the management packs. That'll be enterprises as part of their standards builds. And I don't mean in the old days of imaging, but using, you know, Endpoint Manager or Intune or whatever it is they're using, that will be turned off as a standard profile setting, guaranteed. Won't it?
Exactly. I say, and most have already announced it. It's already in Intune,
right? So they know that. But you on your personal machine at home, probably quite a helpful thing. Or think of a student, and you know, who's doing stuff for their university or college work or whatever. Actually, how handy is that if they make a mistake or they delete a document to roll back and see what they're working on? I can see there's lots of applications here for it. I just think people are absolutely losing their mind over capability that actually already exists in one form or another.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, Microsoft are giving you the tools to turn it on or off and configure it how you want. I'm sure there can always be improvements, but I suppose the problem is Joe Public, that would require them to do some actual work to figure out if they want it on or off. And I know Microsoft, it will come on as default.
Yeah, to me, it's just again a collective panic. It's a bit like, you know, it's like, the sky's gonna fall in. Is it? But well, it's no. I think that's just the night time. It's dark now. You're okay.
Yeah, it comes back to the same thing. People rather moan than actually take the time to figure out the stuff they're using.
Yeah, and these privacy lawyers and stuff are going at it tenfold when actually
money, don't they? So.
Exactly. Yeah, and you know, I just think, you know, again, Microsoft are releasing capability, which is going to be there. And I think, as you know, from a personal perspective, a personal opinion, I think in you know, some years to come, this will be standard practice. You won't even realize you're doing it. You know, I think that's the thing is that people seem to forget. Everybody that uses any of these Chat GPT style applications, whether it be Gemini, whether it be Claude, Chat GPT, unless you delete those chats, or not even that, unless you tick the boxes that say not to be used for data processing or words to that effect, everything you do on these chat things, these AI platforms, is being recorded and is using the model. It's been using the model for training, and I think a lot of people don't realize that either.
No, because that requires them to actually look and do some work.
Which leads us nicely on to the latest release from OpenAI, which is ChatGPT 4o or Omni, which is their next major release. And, well, talking about power of AI, I mean, this is absolutely amazing, isn't it, what it is doing at the minute now?
Oh, definitely. So this is not just text anymore, is it? This is audio and visual input, isn't it, in real time? You know, it can speak to you and pick up on emotional cues and stuff like that. It's all very, very clever.
And also it can now communicate in over 50 languages. It can do real-time translation. And one of the videos they showed in their spring kind of update was a real-time translation between two people using the AI as the kind of intermediary. Now, look, you and I both know that is going to have been a tested scenario that they've already gone into. They've proved what, but as a technology concept, it was quite impressive in my opinion. I was blown away by how fluid it was.
Google Translate has this, but it's a lot more robotic,
clunky,
and one at a time kind of thing.
Yeah, this was like having your own personal translator. Well, no, I'll tell you what this is like. This is getting to the point where we are at Star Trek Universal Communicators.
Yep.
And I think that kind of capability is amazing. But it also can do a lot more, as you say, emotional stuff. It can be more reactive to the inputs. The output that you're getting, I've seen the text-to-speech stuff is brilliant. It can also process larger data sets as well inside the ChatGPT model. They also released a Mac application, which I have got installed, by the way. Yep. They've updated the UI on the ChatGPT. All of this, you would say, is quite good. But it also is on the back of the fact that they've signed a deal with Reddit for training information, and of course the rumored Apple integration for Siri, which is coming next month at WWDC. Now, again, we're not entirely sure what that's going to be, but it could be that this may be the model that underpins some of the capabilities that could be in the new Siri.
Could be, but what they have not done is use Scarlett Johansson's voice for this.
No, that is very true. They didn't. So the
Definitely
new
haven't.
recognition was, Whisper. So the new speech output was the oh my god, I can't believe
So
it.
the story or rumor or allegedly is that they
Well,
did
no, I
approach
think it's
Scarlett Johansson to use the voice. She said no.
no.
They seem to have found a voice artist for this. It sounds strikingly like Scarlett Johansson, but isn't.
And didn't they also called the voice her?
Her, as in, Scarlett
Which was
Johansson
just,
in Her.
which was
film.
yeah, exactly, where she played an AI, didn't she, in the sci-fi film Her?
Yes, she did. So Scarlett's currently
yeah.
suing OpenAI or about to sue OpenAI, but they're denying all knowledge and it's just a coincidence.
But they changed the voice.
Oh, have they changed the voice now?
They took it down. They took it down. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. They knew what they were doing, I think.
Yeah, of course they did. And there's a lot of emails that have come out rumored to be from Sam Altman to Scarlett Johansson, her agent, and back and forth. So a little bit of underhanded practice there. We won't get into the legalities of that at the moment, but yes, it doesn't look great. But the new model of Omni is already available, as you say, to ChatGPT users. Everybody gets access to it. Paid subscribers on Plus or the enterprise model get 5 times the rate of free users, which is really good for people like me who really are using it. The API apparently is twice as fast, at 50% lower cost compared to the current GPT-4 Turbo, which is the only model you can, which is the kind of next level down. Omni, however, is not available yet as an audio visual with the API. It can only do text response, but that will be released shortly. I look, the audio stuff's great. I have already played with some of the picture capability. I've taken screenshots of a Excel spreadsheet, dumped that into ChatGPT, and asked it to analyze the data or rebuild it or prune. It is scary. It reads the data. It knows what's there. It can then recreate tables on the fly. I mean, I'm not taxing it. I'm just trying to do things where I've seen the examples. And we are getting close, not to AGI, but to an assistant kind of capability where it's just going to be like, you're going to ask it to do something and it's just going to be instantaneous. Click your fingers and off you go.
See, I need this in a pair of AR glasses, really.
Well, this is it, isn't it? This is what we were saying before. This is where you need to pair it with those kind of AR glasses that Google have just released. Of course, it won't be ChatGPT, it'll be Gemini. But you're right. So these new glasses from Google, then, which are looking
kind of announced, so they're prototypes.
No, prototypes, are they?
Google were actually, I don't know, was it one of their build events? What do they call them? They were demonstrating what they call Project Astra. So it's according to Google, this is their real-time multimodal AI assistant that can see the world. So in the actual video, and we'll link it on the show notes. They're basically showing someone using Project Astra on their phone. They had a camera on it, was identifying objects as they walked around the office. Points at a computer screen with code on it, identifies what the code is doing. They point the phone out the window and identifies kind of where they are in the world. They then say, look, can you remember where I left my glasses? And it tells them, it was on your desk near the red apple because it had spotted that in the videos that went through. So she then wanders through, puts the glass on, puts the phone in a pocket, wanders over to a whiteboard, doesn't she? And then they looks at a diagram and then asks the questions about it. At this point, the kind of glasses kick in and a little Google prompt pops up and it starts analyzing the image, telling her about how she can improve it. And it's all given like a text overlay in AR. It was all very, very cool.
This is AR for me. The ability to look at something, and identify it or provide contextual information over the top of what you're doing. And I know we've seen that before with HoloLens, and there's the Meta AI glasses, isn't there, as well?
This is the AR stuff of HoloLens mixed with the
AI
visual understanding of AI like ChatGPT Omni.
Yeah, and this is the thing, isn't it? There's one thing saying overlay, the left lens with a map.
Yeah.
But it's another to say to it, right, incorporate information into that map to show me, this. Actually, there's diversion in place here. I want to go left, but I want to stop somewhere. can you propose a new route?
I'm in a foreign country and I can't understand the writing on the road
On the
sign.
road sign. Yeah, exactly. That kind of stuff. Or the ability to be reading a menu and it auto translates on the fly and gives you, the information there as well. And that's, yeah.
What my wife would love, she's hard of hearing now. And it's getting worse as she gets older. And
Subtitles.
to give real-time subtitles, she would bite my hand off because it's okay. She wears hearing aids; it does help to a degree. But when you're in restaurants, noisy environments, or multiple people speaking, it's very hard. If you could look at someone, and it could real-time translation or not translation, subtitles of people would be amazing, a life changer.
See, that's the real kind of real world use cases that just make this impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
So whilst these are a concept at the minute, they are starting to demonstrate, the capabilities that are out there. And I don't think it's going to be long before we see other manufacturers or other people building in, APIs from people like OpenAI with ChatGPT Omni or whatever the equivalent will be in the future, or Gemini or whoever, because data, with a 5G data connection, bandwidth's not a problem really anymore. I think
it depends where you are, but we'll get there.
Okay, I say that as a general viewpoint of the connectivity in most cases. Yeah, is getting better. You're not restricted to a 3G network where and I say that in terms of built up areas. I appreciate there are areas for that, but even then, let's just say you whack a Starlink or a Project Kuipers or something like that. Get a bit of a
cabling at the top of the mountain. I get a couple 100 meg download on 5G. It's amazing. It's better than I get in my house on 5G.
Yeah, that is bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. But yeah, definitely. These, as I say, these are a prototype Project Astra. But if they're anything to come by, they definitely need to slim down the frames because they look like the 3D glasses you get at the cinema.
They do. For some, that is a style choice, but not my cup of tea.
Well, talking of somebody's cup of tea, Twitter has officially adopted X.com for every one of its core systems now. Now, you may be thinking, well, didn't they do that a while back? Yeah, they did. They kind of did a slow, soft transition last year. But apparently now everything is X. If you go to Twitter, it is now X.com. It shows everything is X.com. So yeah, it's all there, isn't it?
It is. Twitter is dead. Basically, it is now officially X.com.
But is it? I mean,
no. I mean, it'll always be Twitter to me.
It's to say, nobody who refers to it as X.
No one. I think even the news has stopped saying X, formerly Twitter. They just call it Twitter now, don't they?
I think they do. I was looking on. It was on The Verge. I was asked about it, and I don't know if you saw the comments, but in one of the comments was somebody posted, and somebody put a comment basically saying, in years to come, this will be taught in business schools as the absolute thing done to a brand.
Yeah. How's to destroy a business 101?
But yeah, so X.com is now there, and Elon posted last week on X, Twitter, the birth site, a picture of X.com, which apparently was the logo which he originally built back in the early 2000s when they were looking at merging
PayPal
X,
and
yeah, because it does look a bit. It looked a bit like PayPal, didn't it?
It did, yeah, it did.
So there we go. Apparently, so apparently one thing has been pulled up though that according to Brian Krebs, one of the leading security researchers, this transition from Twitter.com to X.com has been an absolute gift to those scammers and phishing attacks out there, as people were able to build their own attacks, and of course there isn't verification on what was the right or the wrong address as well. So it's been a bit of a mess, and quite frankly, and I imagine it will continue to do so. No, I wouldn't.
You knew this was coming.
From the master of destruction, nothing less, my friend. Nothing less.
Right. So talking of destruction, and honestly, I read this and I was like, does Breach Forum still exist? Because, it was shut down a year or two ago. But apparently, I'm not in with the underground. It started up again. But don't fear.
You're not down with the kids.
Not down with the kids. Don't fear. The FBI and international law enforcement have shut them down once more. So they've seized their websites, their Telegram channels. For those people who don't know what Breach Forums is, it's kind of a major online marketplace for cyber criminals, wasn't it? You could kind of buy and sell and trade stolen data and hacking tools and all sorts of nefarious things. But it is no more. Well, at least for a couple of months until someone else brings it back from the dead. Yeah, so don't fear though. The FBI International Law Enforcement have shut them down once more. So they've gone and seized the website, the Telegram channels, and so for you guys that don't know what the Breach Forums is, it was kind of a major online marketplace for kind of cyber criminals to go and buy, sell, trade stolen data, hacking tools, and all sorts of bits and pieces. So another win for the FBI.
Yes, another takedown, isn't it? I mean, there's been a few of these in the last year or so, isn't there? These
what's the other one? Was it Raid Forums?
Yeah,
say something along those lines was also shut down, but it's like a Hydra, isn't it? You cut one off and more pop up.
Well, as I say, I thought these days all the cool kids were on the dark web, but
well, I guess the Breach Forums isn't that on the dark web? Isn't that in Tor accessible? I don't know if you can get to it through the normal internet.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, because they've saying that it was hosted at several different .st, .cx, .is, and .vc.
Oh, okay.
Addresses, and there was also an ic3.gov form as well. And I think according to what the takedown information is, that the FBI have access to all of the back end data as well. So if you're a user of that,
so they've got the actual physical servers, or they've hacked them.
Yeah, watch out for a knock on the door, I suggest,
Run!
But of course, the FBI also seized a Telegram channel, Telegram. So, it's really interesting here. So I was reading something the other day that was saying about Signal and Telegram, and how Telegram have got a marketing campaign to basically say that Signal's not encrypted, you need to move away, Telegram. But all the research seems to point that Signal actually is probably the most secure encrypted messaging service there is, and Telegram isn't really encrypted at all.
It's encrypted from your device to the server.
And they were saying that there's all these things to try and get people to move away from Signal, but they've got some pretty nefarious marketing tactics going on. So it's a very interesting one there. No wonder they've been seized.
Signal, but everyone's still on WhatsApp.
Well, this is true. I've got a couple of friends on Signal, but WhatsApp is the flavour of the day.
So have I, but I don't think I've ever used it to actually really chat with anyone.
I've got one friend. That's all he uses. Bizarre.
Okay.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway,
more people would use it.
Well, you say that though, it pops up and says to you, I know this person is on Signal, but nobody's using it. They've got it installed.
Got it installed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Anyway, something good to look forward to. So coming in fall, or for those of us in the real world, autumn 2025. Take-Two have announced that GTA 6 is coming, haven't they?
Yeah, this came out in their the Q4 2020 earnings report. So basically, they originally announced when they did the trailer, didn't they, that it was going to be 2025 at some point. So they have narrowed it down to autumn or the fall, or basically just in time for Christmas. Not quite the news I was hoping for, but at least it's on track. And to be honest, I think it was always going to come out around that time, even when they said 2025. Kind of prime time for game releases, isn't it?
I was going to say, if you look back to the 2005, what am I about? GTA 5, sorry, was released in September 2013.
Yep.
So it makes sense. You're right that it would be a similar launch. Yeah, God, I know.
Playing the same game.
Don't. And just think how much money Take-Two have made off the back of that.
God, I mean, they were also saying it's the is it the second most sold game ever? It's sold 200 million copies, although they're a good 100 million short of Minecraft.
Well, I mean, Take-Two said that they expect to deliver net bookings next year of $5.5 to $5.6 billion.
Yeah, most of that is going to be GTA in that 3-month period before the year ends.
Ka-ching.
Because I will be buying at least one copy of it.
I was going to say, definitely one copy, maybe two. But I think it's going to be good. There's no more information on it. There's no more information on Red Dead Redemption coming to PC. That is the original version, not obviously 2, which is there. Yeah. That rumor keeps knocking around, though, doesn't it? That Red Dead is coming to PC.
Well, let's just hope they do a decent port of it, not like was it the GTA Special Trilogy or whatever, which was a terrible port.
Oh god, yeah, it has to be a proper remaster and relaunch, doesn't it?
It does. But yeah, next up in the gaming news, though, finally another Call of Duty game coming out this year, apparently. So, Black Ops 6 is what it will be. There's the proper
Blops.
Blops. Yep, it's the proper reveal. It's the 9th of June, isn't it? But they did pop up a new, what do you call it? A spoof site, a speculation site called thetruthlies.com. It's got a couple of short little videos that you can't really see much about the story, but I'm sure we'll find out a bit more on the 9th. But the big news is apparently it's going to be day one release on Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah, so Microsoft have got their Xbox summer showcase, can't speak, on June the 9th, as you said, with a special Call of Duty event straight after it, haven't they?
They have indeed.
Also, alongside that is going to be apparently release dates for the new Flight Sim 2024 as well, which I am desperate for that. I can't wait. I love Flight Sim.
That's the one with actual like missions and stuff in, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't played this. Do you know what? I haven't played enough recently. I do need to get a Quest 3. I know that. Anyway, but back to Black Ops. And so I like playing these games in single player. I don't like the multiplayer. I know single player isn't the real focus of these games, and I haven't played one for a long time. But for just a pick up and shoot game, yeah, pretty damn good. I wouldn't have bought one, given that they're so bloody expensive. Excuse me for saying that. But on Game Pass, yeah, why not? You know,
this could be an interesting. The rumor about what the story is going to be about is it's going to be set in New York around 9/11. Is the rumor, and actually the official COD Twitter account is billing this as a dark new chapter of the game. So yeah, we might be touching something a bit sensitive for the game.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. As you said, I prefer the single player. I would like a co-op version of single player. Me, you,
can't be awesome.
Our friend, 3 or 4 people, or even just 2 as a co-op going through the single player would be quite cool.
Down for that, absolutely. Though the question I've got, and is will they announce the release? Yeah.
Come on, I suspect if it's a special Call of Duty, I know we're going to see a lot more about the new game, but I would have hoped they'd say, right, yeah, day one for the new game in October, but to keep you entertained, here's the back catalogue now released on Game Pass.
Yeah,
they've got to release it.
It's got to be.
Come on,
it's got to be because they've bought all these games. They're there, and how many? I'll tell you, how many people would pick up a Game Pass Ultimate subscription?
But I suppose the thing to say is, Call of Duty makes an awful lot of money at $70 or pounds a pop for the game, doesn't it? There's a lot of money to be losing out on when you're trying to repay that 70 billion it cost you to buy the studio.
Yeah, but then again, though, you'll get people that will just want to have 1 or 2 games, or maybe they don't have the whole back catalogue. Maybe they'll only get, I don't know, the N-2 release or something. So not the latest game, but you'll get the rest of them. Now, the other rumor is that the Ultimate subscription could go up. That's the other big thing, isn't it? That's the other concern.
Bought a batch load of months. I can't remember when mine runs out, but I think I've still got 5 or 6 months left on mine before I need to renew again.
That is a concern, isn't it? But I'm down for this. So if it comes on Game Pass, I'll tell you now, I'm playing it. I'm having it.
We'll have a game like that one and give it a go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it would be great to get back and play some Call of Duty. It's been a very long time. In fact, I think the last one I bought was 2012, 2011, 2012, whichever one that was.
Oh, I don't know.
And I had it on DVD, so that gives you.
Yeah. I think the last one I might have played was that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2? The original.
Probably, yeah, that might have been it. Yeah. I definitely played that.
Yeah, I think that's the last one I remember playing.
But as soon as we have that announcement, we will let you guys know. So then, the Terra Rumor Mill is back. What have we got this week?
Interesting one. So this is the kind of the rumors of the significantly thinner iPhones coming. So apparently, for not this year with the 16s, but next year for the 17s, we kind of get apparently an iPhone X level leap forward in design language for the company. So obviously we've just done the new iPad Pros that are super, super thin, aren't they? So apparently we're going to get a model in the lineup of iPhone 17s that is also super thin. apparently it might replace the Plus models because they haven't been selling that well. But yeah, so we're going to get apparently go back to an aluminium chassis. What's that, like the iPhone 4s and 5s?
Yeah, that's well going back way some
Upgraded,
time, isn't it?
yeah, upgraded front-facing cameras housed alongside the Face ID in a much smaller pill-shaped cutout. The rear cameras may be moving to the center of the phone. Who knows?
Well,
but yeah, I do worry about battery life if we're going significantly thinner.
well, that is a concern. I have to say. I think because I was just thinking, thinner device. Well, what are you going to gain from a thinner device, and what are you going to lose from a
I don't know.
thinner
If you ever
device?
slap it in a case and no one's going to notice,
Yeah.
pretty much. I don't know. Yeah, yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So you've got this great thin device, but nobody can tell this thing because you've got a dirty, great big case around it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the battery's already quite thin, so are you going to lose battery capacity? Are they going to, if they're going to use the same camera array as the iPhone 16, are they going to lose some camera capability? Because don't forget the depth of the camera module is kind of dictating the phone at the minute, isn't it? That's part of why the phone is what it is. And if you look at Apple's design ethos, they've gone away from the Johnny Ive era of razor sharp, thin, don't have anything, to we realize now we need some depth in here to be able to have the ports and the capabilities. So, look, I'm intrigued. I won't lie, absolutely intrigued by it, but I'm not sure what the gain is here.
Yeah, or maybe as I said, maybe it's just going to be a point product in the lineup. So you're going to have a super thin one, all about the design, but you're still going to have the pros, the workhorses of all the cool, decent cameras and stuff. And this is a slimmed down but more prettier version of the phone. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I know a lot of people still mourn after the loss of the Mini. I mean, I didn't ever play with one, so I can't really comment on it. But apparently they were well received, but they just didn't sell enough.
No. But then if you want I'm about to say if you wanted a small one, you could also go and get the SE, but the SE isn't so small anymore, is it?
No, not at all, no. But still good phone, though, if you're looking at a different price point.
Yep. Okay, so next up, though, we've got...
I was going to say, AirTags.
AirTag 2s. So, obviously, don't talk much. There's not much to tell about an AirTag, really. It's a tracking device, isn't it? But
No.
that's it. What are you going to improve in it? Well, you're going to improve the tracking, aren't you? So, apparently, the second generation of AirTags is going to use the new ultra-wideband chips from the latest iPhone 15s, which is going to massively improve its local tracking capabilities. So, apparently, the first-gen ultra-wideband chips can only do up to 10-meter range.
Okay.
The second-gen ones can do up to 60 meters. That's the ones in
now that would be impressive. If you lose something 60 meters is massively, that would help because that's the new ultra wideband chips, isn't it?
Yeah, from the 15s,
Yeah. Now I think that would be a very cool capability to be able to, you lose something. 10 meters is obviously quite a distance,
but it's not really when you've got to find the signal.
But I was just going to say when you're, And look, I think they do work really well. I think the ultra wideband capability is great. I doubt, maybe the battery. I mean, you're going to change the batteries because they're replaceable batteries, aren't they? Which is about the only good thing they've got going for them. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I mean, look, I love the AirTags. I probably should buy some more. But I can't bring myself to do that at the minute. The battery life's pretty good. I keep replacing them with the 2032 batteries. They're handy. I have to say, they're a good idea, and now we've got used to them, and all the hoo-ha around privacy's died down.
Yeah,
I think that they're a handy piece of kit, in my opinion.
I should buy some more, but interesting to see. But apparently that's not going to be until 2025 either, so that's a next year jobby.
Okay. I guess we've got to get the iPhone 16 out of the way and the Watch 10 or whatever we're going to call it first.
Or the Ultra 3 or the,
And the Ultra 3. Well, we've got some rumours out, but we'll cover them next week anyway.
Yeah, I think that wraps it up for today.
So, probably a good place for us to finish for today then. So we'll be back next week with episode 169 with all of the latest tech news. We'll have some more of the updates from MS Build that have happened this week. And, of course, any of the latest breaking tech stories that come in the next few days. You can find us on X, Twitter, whatever it's called this week, at Weekly TechRant, and of course all of our show notes at techrant.online for everything we've covered today, and as Carl said, all the links and the videos to the items that we've discussed. So I've been Jay.
I've been Carl. Have a good one all.